welcome. ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Wednesday, the 28th of December. Good to have you aboard. However you're listening to the program today, love you long time. It could be on iTunes or Spotify or Google or iHeart or Amazon. I can't list them all. We'll be here all day. Maybe you're watching on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ZASLOW Show. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment. You do all that good stuff. It's for the algorithm. It's not for me. It's for the algorithm. And the algorithm likes that. And then that's really good for me. And then I get all the monies. So make sure that you like, you rate, you comment, you tell your friends, you tell your family, you tell your mother I say hello. I love you long time. So good to have you here with us. We're right smack in the middle of the week. And we have a lot going on. There's a lot happening here. You got our quarterback who's right at the center of everything as far as the sports universe is concerned. And then if that's not enough for you, you got LeBron James and the Lakers are in town tonight as the Heat are looking for a 2-2 homestand here. So we're like the center of the sports universe right now. Now, everything ZASLOW Show 2.0, is presented by our title sponsor. Wouldn't be here without them. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you're dealing with a personal injury caused by an accident, doesn't matter what kind of accident, it wasn't your fault, so you got to call Anidjar and Levine accident attorneys. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. You'll get an attorney on the phone immediately. First, you're in an accident, you call 911. After you call 911, you call 800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine, they're going to get the money that you deserve so you can just focus on your health and getting better. So Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, title sponsor of everything ZASLOW Show 2.0. And that, of course, includes It's Still Real to Me, which is every Saturday. We got my pro wrestling show, got my stories we got to catch up on from all the big happenings during the week. So we're going to talk a lot about Tua here today. You had an historic performance in the NBA last night. Luka Doncic. I'm looking forward to this Heat game tonight, hoping that LeBron plays. LeBron said, I don't know if there's been an update over the last few minutes since I last checked. LeBron, I've been telling you all week, right? Keep an eye on what happened as far as LeBron in Orlando. Because if LeBron plays in Orlando on Tuesday night, he's not going to play Wednesday in Miami. He hasn't been playing back-to-backs. So keep an eye on that. Well, LeBron played last night, and the Lakers won. LeBron had a good game. LeBron said it's up in the air whether or not, he's going to play in Miami. He said he would decide when he wakes up in the morning. So no updated tweet yet as far as LeBron goes. Haven't seen any news just yet. We're at a time this morning. I'm not going to tell you exactly what time we're taping. You're listening to the future. He may have already announced that he's playing tonight. But as of right now, it's morning. As of right now, he has, there's no news yet whether or not LeBron is going to play tonight. If you're a Heat fan and you're going to the game tonight, you're obviously hoping that you're going to wind up seeing LeBron. The Lakers, they need every game they can get. Hell, the Heat need every game they can get. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, they are questionable once again for tonight's game. They missed the game on Monday night where the Heat got a win against Minnesota. Important to get this win if you're Miami, because after tonight, you head out on a 5-game road trip, a very difficult road trip. You'd like to go out there over 500. The road trip begins Friday night in Denver. So you got at Denver, tough, very tough game. Best team in the West, right? And you have at Utah, that's a tough game. Team's overachieving, but that's a tough game. You got at the LA Clippers, that's a tough game. They're rolling right now. Then you got at the Lakers again, okay, and at Phoenix. Phoenix is struggling right now. They won last night. That is a daunting road trip. It is. That's one of those trips where, look, the goal for every road trip is to go 500 or better. Can you go 3-2 with those games? I mean, the games that you look at and you feel like you have to have, you would say Utah. Denver game, he'd catch a break with Denver. A lot of times you get Denver's second out of a back-to-back traveling west to east, and that's the death blow. That's a very, very difficult game, back-to-back, second out of a back-to-back in Denver. Here, you start out the road trip in Denver. So the Heat, get a little bit of a solid there. The Utah game, though, I feel like you have to have the Utah game. And I would say you got to have the Laker game. You got to have tonight, and you got to have the Laker game on the 4th. And that would put you, no matter what happens then with Denver and the LA Clippers, that would put you then in a spot where, okay, you go into Phoenix, which is an ESPN game. The Laker game and Phoenix is an ESPN game, actually. You can go into the last game there, the ESPN game against Phoenix, and say, all right, win this game, we got a winning road trip. That's the scenario you want. You want 2-2 these first 4 games. You'd like to say, hey, the Utah game and the Laker game, I like those. Those are games we could win. Can't do that for the Heat this year, though. They're not any. The Heat can lose to anyone. They can also beat anyone. But a 3-2 road trip, I really think it's a miracle. I really do. Especially when you consider the health of this team right now. 2-3, you'll say, oh, okay, fine. I can live with 2-3. But you can live with 2-3 if the Heat get the win tonight, where then you would be 500 when you get back. Because the win tonight puts you a game over 500, and then you come home, you got a few games in a row. It looks like you got a 4-game homestand after that. So you put yourself in a position to try and continue to keep this record above 500. The Heat just toiling away at 500. So you got the Lakers tonight. We're keeping an eye throughout the day on what's going on there with LeBron. He said when he wakes up today, he will decide. He'll know when he wakes up. When he wakes up today, he will decide if he is playing against the Heat tonight, second night of a back-to-back. I don't believe he's going to play. I don't think he plays today. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So make sure you keep it in touch with everything that's going on, and you'll find out. You head into the game tonight at FTX Arena, you'll see if LeBron's playing. So, and as far as the Heat, like I said, Bam, Jimmy Butler, they are questionable. Everyone else seems good to go. Now, before I get into the Dolphin stuff, the Tua stuff, and there's a lot happening there, all right? Before I get to all that stuff, last night, all right? Been watching a lot of movies lately. That's right. Well, I told you as far as series go, my wife and I, we watched Jack Ryan, Amazon. That's a really good show. It was season 3. We love that show. So if you're into Jack Ryan, there's a new season out. Not sure if you're aware of it. You want to go check that out. But last night, watched a movie with my son. You ever seen the Knives Out movie? All right, that's with Daniel Craig. It's like a murder mystery, but it's funny. It's a murder mystery, and the sequel came out recently. It's called Glass Onion. Doesn't have anything to do with the first one, except you got the main character, the detective played by Daniel Craig, Benoit Blanc. He's trying to solve another mystery, you know. Other than that, you totally, like I watched it with my son last night. He's never seen the first one, but I knew that you didn't have to see the first one in order to understand the second one. So we watched Glass Onion last night. Really good, really funny. I recommend it, but I will say first one, better. Matter of fact, I think the first one was a lot better. But that doesn't mean that the second one wasn't good. We enjoyed that one last night with Edward Norton and what's the lead actor's name? Is her name Rochelle Monet? I feel like I'm getting her first name wrong. But Edward Norton also. You got what's her name? Kate Hudson. And Dave Bautista. Bautista from WWE. But anyway, I do want to mention this as well. So I recommend that movie. I recommend going to watch Glass Onion. It's on, is it Netflix? Yeah, it's on Netflix. I think it's the #1 trending movie, right? I like how Netflix does that. Where they do the top 10 trending movies. You always find something good there. You find the movie that everybody's talking about. So I think right now, because you don't want to be left behind. You don't want everyone to see something and then you haven't seen it, and then you're a loser. So Glass Onion right now, I think, is #1. But here's the thing. I want to mention this. So Batista, WWE star or former WWE star, Dave Bautista, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in that movie Stuber, which, holy shit, that movie's really funny if you've never seen that movie. He's been in a bunch of movies. Anyway, so Dave Bautista is in this movie, Glass Onion. And I saw this poll, I think it's on Bleacher Report, and Ryan Johnson, who is the writer and director, he's done a bunch of good stuff. He's the writer and director of the Knives Out movies. And he said it first, I believe, and now there's polls out there on Bleacher Report as far as who is the best, who is the best WWE superstar turned actor. And the 3 that you're thinking of course, it's The Rock. And The Rock, look, everybody knows The Rock is the #1 movie star in the world. But it's The Rock, John Cena, and Dave Bautista. You got to have Dave Bautista in there, all right? Because the fact of the matter is, Bautista is actually in the better movies, all right? The Rock is the most successful, and Cena's really good too. But Batista, I feel like, is in the better movies. But anyway, of those three, who is the best WWE superstar turned actor? And I gotta tell you, the answer is Batista. He's fantastic. The answer is Dave Batista. And you know I love The Rock, but The Rock has one character. He's that guy in every movie. Like, The Rock's an action star, you know? And I don't want to say Rock's not an actor, all right? Because The Rock's done some comedic roles, like the movie, what is that? The CIA Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart. That movie's funny as shit. But The Rock's an action star. There's not a ton of acting that goes on. And Cena's really good too. Cena's got a good comedic feel for the movies that he's in. Cena's gotten a lot better. But Dave Batista, I think Dave Batista all time, again, I'm not talking about successful. That's The Rock. But as far as actual actor, I think Dave Batista is the best WWE superstar turned actor. I really do. And he's really good and really funny in everything he does. He's great as Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And he's really good in Glass Onion. And I'm telling you, go see that movie Stuber. It's a comedy. That movie is so funny, and he is great in it. He's really good in everything he does. I think Dave Batista is the all-time greatest WWE superstar turned actor. Again, not most successful, but as far as actual actor and the movies that they do, I think he's number one. So, also want to update yesterday's poll question. Very important poll question to lead us into what we're doing today. By the way, I should also mention, Pacific guy, George Sedano. He's going to join us on the show today. That's right. We're going to get Sedano aboard. Lakers are in town. I know he's doing the Laker game for ESPN January 4th in Los Angeles. He's not doing the game tonight. I don't think this is a national TV game tonight. You're watching Bally anyway. You got Eric Reed, you got John Crotty. and this is the good Bally. Bally Sports Sun is the better Bally because Bally Sports Florida sucks. There's always technical issues every single game for the Panthers. Bally Sports Sun, while not perfect, it's by far the better of the two. Okay, they're much better. But I feel like rarely is there a problem on Bally Sports Sun. Not perfect, but I think rarely there's a problem. Bally Sports Florida, worst channel. Always a problem. Very terrible. But tonight, you got the Lakers here, so we'll get Sedano on the show. We'll talk some NBA with Pacific Guy. We'll get his thoughts on Tua, all right? I do want to lead into Tua with our poll question from yesterday. So our poll question yesterday, ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll. I'm at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. You could also hit me up at ZASLOWJ on Instagram. And yesterday's poll question was, with the news of Tua being put in concussion protocol, which is the biggest story in sports right now. Because Tua being put into concussion protocol, do you regret what you said about Tua after his 3-interception fourth quarter on Sunday? And the choices were, yes, I'm so sorry. No, he still stunk. And the poll ended with 56% of your vote. The ZASLOW Show 2.0 listener voted 56% for no, he still stunk. So you guys not very sympathetic to Tua's plight, or you just don't think that it had anything to do with that performance. And I would say, I don't think you're being mean by voting that, because I voted no, I'm not sorry. Because for me, it's all encompassing. He's been outplayed all 4 of these games in the 4-game losing streak. Now, he hasn't been bad in all 4 games, but he's been outplayed in all 4 of these games, and the Dolphins had the ball. He had the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter of every one of these games with a chance to win it. So for me, it's kind of all-encompassing. That's slanting my vote a little bit, if you will. But at the same time, we don't know what caused him to throw those 3 interceptions. And on top of that, we don't know if he even had a concussion on Sunday. We don't. So let's get into it now, and then we'll bring Sedano aboard. Everyone is like, it has to be amazing to you, not just to me, right? Where everyone is so comfortable sitting on their couch and diagnosing Tua and telling him what he should do and acting like you know more about concussions than the doctors who are treating him. Concussions in general, we know so little about. We know a lot more than we used to. And I've mentioned this before. It's funny, right? Where growing up, I wasn't allowed to play football. Wasn't allowed to play tackle football. Now, would I sneak off sometimes on Saturday mornings and we would go to the park, with a bunch of my friends, and we would play tackle football all the time. All the time. But I wasn't allowed to play tackle football. My parents knew we were playing tackle. They wouldn't have liked it. And I certainly wasn't allowed to play organized tackle football, like for Optimist Club. And the main reason we weren't allowed to play tackle football was the spinal cord injuries. Spinal cord injuries were the big deal. Mike Utley, Dennis Bird. Like, if you don't know these names, go look it up. Those happened when I was a kid. Those were the big stories. And I wasn't allowed to play tackle football because of spinal cord injuries. That was the big thing, right? That was the thing that we were afraid of, was you don't want to get paralyzed. We didn't talk about head injuries at all. And now it's all about head injuries. Now, that doesn't mean that anything is more or less safe when it comes to spinal cord injuries. That can still happen. I mean, thank God, the most recent example was Ryan Shazier, right? Who, thank God, is walking again. I mean, I'm sure he's not walking as well. I don't know if he can run, but thank God he's walking and can probably live a normal life still. But Ryan Shazier was the most recent one, right? Where he wasn't walking he was paralyzed at first. And oh my God, remember when Tua was on the ground and the fingers, I thought he was paralyzed. If he wasn't dead, thought he was paralyzed. Spinal cord injuries were the big thing when I was growing up. Now it's all head injuries. We didn't think about head injuries at all back then. And I feel like we don't think so much about spinal cord injuries now. Which, by the way, that was my main concern with Tua, because you remember when they took him off the field, the game against Cincinnati, he didn't do the thumbs up. And you have to do the thumbs up. You always have to do the thumbs up. That's a known thing. Ever since Mike Utley was paralyzed, he did the thumbs up, excuse me, when he was coming off the field, even though he ends up being paralyzed from the waist down. He still did the thumbs up. And everybody knows now, when you're being taken off on the stretcher, you got to give the thumbs up. The thumbs up means you're okay. The thumbs up means you're not paralyzed. And it's like a universal thing. And Tua never gave the thumbs up. And I was like, oh my God. Everybody knows you got to do the thumbs up. And he didn't do it. So I thought he was paralyzed. But anyway, everyone is so comfortable. So we don't think of spinal cord injuries now at all anymore. And we didn't think about head injuries at all back then. It's very strange how it's shifted. But everyone is so comfortable sitting on their couch or on television. We'll get to that. Everyone is so, like, you see everyone on Twitter and on Facebook, Tua should retire, right? You're number one, you're not a doctor. And even if you were the doctor, you're not the doctor that's treating him. Like, how are you diagnosing someone? How are you telling someone that they should retire? How do you know what someone should do moving forward when you're not there? Everyone's so comfortable. Like, I'm definitely, and I got into a little bit of this yesterday, I'm definitely never going to sit here and tell you that Tua should retire. No chance. I'm never going to do that. I certainly hope he doesn't retire. And matter of fact, I hope he plays this weekend. Yeah. And I'm definitely not going to feel bad about wanting him to play this weekend. Oh, ZASLOW, that's crazy. How could you want him to play? How could I want him to play? Because I'm a Dolphins fan. Because this team, I've been emotionally attached and invested, save for some down years where, I tried to get unemotionally attached and unemotionally invested. But I've been emotionally attached and invested to this team for my entire life. Probably for 35, 36 years of my 41 years of existence. I've been emotionally invested in this team. That's how I want him to play. Of course I want him to play this weekend. Not only do I not want him to retire, but I want him to play this weekend. And I'm definitely not going to feel sorry about that. How could you want that, ZASLOW? Because I want the Dolphins to win a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not telling you that if a doctor were to tell Tua, you should retire. And then I would say, man, don't listen to that doctor. You should play this weekend. No, I would never say that. That's different. But sitting here from afar, not being a doctor, not being there treating him, and certainly with no one, at least right now, at least yet, giving him that advice, I'm a Dolphin fan, and I'm going to sit here and say, I hope Tua retires? The hell is the matter with me? There's no way. I hope he doesn't retire, and I hope he plays this weekend. And I hope they win, and I hope they win playoff games. And I hope Tua leads them to a Super Bowl this year. Now, that ain't going to happen. I mean, now I'm talking like an insane person. That's not going to happen. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I hope Tua retires. I'm a Dolphins fan. I hope he plays this weekend. Definitely not going to feel bad about wanting him to play this weekend. That's what's important to me. The Dolphins are what's important to me. Yeah. And he plays for the Dolphins. And I want him to play well. I want him to play. And I want him to play well. And, like someone messaged me on Twitter yesterday, maybe it was Instagram, where it was like they were mad at Tua because he played through a possible concussion. We don't know that he had a concussion. I know there's, Zapruder film out there on Twitter where he hears the play that it looks like he probably got the concussion. Maybe. We don't even know. We don't know what play, and we don't even know if he had a concussion. We don't. But, I had one person who messaged me, like they're mad at him that he played through it because he would have had a better chance to win if he would have reported the symptoms. Number one, he may not have had any symptoms. He says he didn't have any symptoms until the next day. But, if he did have symptoms, you're mad at him because you got to figure, even though Bridgewater has not been good, would he have thrown 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter? Probably not. So they may have had a chance to win that game. So you're mad at Tua. And I'm like, nah, I got respect, man. I want my guys to play through stuff. Now, do I want them to play through a head injury? That's a dicey spot, man. But I'm certainly not going to shame him or be angry at him for wanting to play through an injury, whatever injury it is. And even if it doesn't work out, if it hinders his play, and as a result, he ends up costing the team the game, that's a really tough spot. I'm not going to be mad at him for wanting to be there for his teammates, for wanting to be there for his coaches, for wanting to be there for the fans, and try to play through and be really tough. I'm like, respect, man. I'm never going to be mad about that. I like when guys try and play through this stuff. I want them to play through this stuff. I do. But then you see, and so, I wrote back. I told the guy, I'm like, it's a tough spot, man. I got respect for Tua if that happened. We don't know. But if that's what happened, yeah, I got respect for it. I mean, it was Joe Burrow, a game earlier this year, right? Where, I don't think he said maybe after that game, but he's talking about previous games where he doesn't remember the fourth quarter. He played through it. He blacked out. They won the game. He didn't remember it. He knows he got concussed, but he wanted to play through it because he's a football player. See, that's the thing, right? They're football players. This is what they signed up for. Nobody does, at least not anymore, because we have so much more information now about head injuries. Nobody isn't aware anymore of potential consequences. And that's almost like, oh, you can't let them play. To hell you can't. They're grown men. They're adults. I hate the whole you can't let him play. You cannot allow him to play. He's a grown man who is being faced with grown man decisions. Grown man decisions for him and his family. Who are you to tell him he can't play? You give these guys the options. You give them all the information. You got to protect them from themselves. Grown up. Grown man. As long as you give them all the information, you give them all the options, present them with every scenario. You got to do that. You got to give them all the info and all the options. You better not keep anything from them. You got to give them all the info and all the options. I hate the idea then you can't let him play. He's a grown-up. The grown man who maybe wants to do this for his team, but also, how about, you got all these former players who were on television over the last couple days talking about how Tua should retire? That's really rich coming from guys who were in the league 10, 12 years, whatever it is, and made all that money and telling Tua, who is probably less than a year away from making generational money, telling him he should retire from something he's worked his whole life to get to. And when you're not the doctor, not a doctor, and you're not the doctor that's there treating him. That's rich, man. Like that's a soapbox you're standing on, man. Telling this guy he's so close to getting that big payday. And you're talking about he should never play again. He should retire. That's rich coming from former players who already have all of that money. Come on, man. Stop telling these guys what to do. Like, I know Robert Griffin and Booger McFarland were on television yesterday, right? And they were saying, should retire. Shouldn't play anymore. How about he gets to make that decision? Because, he's a grown adult. How about he makes that decision? How about he makes that decision because he's a grown adult and because he has doctors, not Robert Griffin, because he has doctors who are advising him. So if you didn't hear the clip, this is making the rounds over the last 24 hours. Here's, this is on the NFL studio set, whatever. I guess NFL Live maybe. And it's Robert Griffin and a little bit of Booger McFarland.
Yeah, I've been an advocate about how our game has kind of moved towards the softer side.
Yes.
The roughing the passer is more like touching the passer now. But when we talk about these head injuries, it's nothing to play with. Yeah. You got to put the person before the player. I'm more concerned about Tua and his longevity of life than I am about whether he's going to play on Sunday. We've seen guys like Luke Kuechly, a teammate of mine, Jordan Reed, have to retire because of these head injuries. And Booger, you know this. Guys that you played the game with have gone off the field and done things to hurt themselves or their families because of things that were suffered on the field, CTE, all those things come into play. So my mind is on, what does this look like for Tua in the future? He should not play for the rest of the season, whether you call it 2 concussions or 3, 2 incidents or 3 incidents. It's a repeat. And the hit that he really suffered the concussion on, or we think that he suffered the concussion on, it wasn't that violent of a hit. It was a routine play.
Right. But
because his head smacked off the ground, the repeat of all of those hits are starting to add up. So I'm more concerned about Tua and his family than I am about him playing the rest of the year.
So here's my big problem with it. Do you think that there are doctors, the doctors who are treating Tua, let's say they hear that clip. Like, you think the doctors are sitting around, they're like I'm not saying you shouldn't be concerned for Tua. Absolutely. I'm also saying, though, if you're a Dolphin fan, you don't have to feel bad for wanting him to play. You don't have to feel bad about that. I'm definitely not going to feel bad about wanting him to play. If you're a Dolphin fan, you're allowed to want him to play. But do you think that, the doctors who are treating him, they're watching that clip from NFL Live, like, man, Robert Griffin and Booger make some good points. Why didn't we think of that? I mean, they're doctors. They know there's nothing that Robert Griffin and Booger are going to say that doctors are going to be like, man, why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we consider that? Everyone is, and again, it's so easy for these former players to say that he shouldn't play after they've collected all of their money. It's so easy. And Tua is so close to getting that payday. So close. And if you don't think that plays a factor, wake up. You're nuts. You're nuts. How could you blame Tua then? You're so close to being set up for the... So you could either have dealt with a... And again, we have no idea how many concussions. We know there's 1. Might be 3. Might be 1. We literally don't know. And based on not knowing, retire. Yeah, retire. So close to getting the money. And if you don't think that plays a part, you're crazy. It definitely does. Stop telling this guy what he should do when he's worked so hard to get here. Stop telling him what to do when you're 1,000 miles away, sitting on your couch, in your underwear, eating a bag of cheese puffs, as if you know better than the doctors who are treating him. Cut it out. It's so self-righteous. It really is. So anyway, I will also add, I would expect Bridgewater to play this weekend. If it comes down to Bridgewater playing this weekend, go on and win the game, man. Do your job. Earn your salary. Can you win 1 game? 0-2, I guess, right? Because Skylar Thompson started the other one. And I know he didn't technically start the game that Tua left with the injury, but it was early enough. So 0-2 in the 2 games that he started. And now you got the playoffs on the line. He's a veteran quarterback. He's had success in this league. Go out and do your job. Can you win 1 game filling in for the quarterback? It's a big one. You've been there before. Can you win 1 game? Go out there, do your job. Do your job. All right. Hey, now, I'm not talking about if you're feeling like you got a concussion, but if you're not feeling well, if you're not feeling 100%, maybe you feel like you're burning up a little bit, you don't want to call your regular pediatrician. You don't want to call your regular doctor because they're going to tell you, all right, I got an opening coming up in a few weeks. You need to see someone today. You need to see someone now. Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. Look, if you support the show, you're listening right now, you support ZASLOW Show 2.0, we got to support my sponsors as well because this show can't happen without my sponsors. And Doctors on Call 365, South Florida's urgent care that comes to you, they are out there helping you. Convenience. Everything in my life I want done with convenience, okay? I'd so much rather pay a little bit extra if it means I'm getting something convenient. But here's the thing with Doctors on Call 365. You need someone to come to your home and treat you. We're talking children, adults, elderly. You need IV fluids. You need vitamin therapy. You need blood drawn. You need a prescription filled or refilled. COVID test, flu test, strep throat test. Doctors on Call 365 is coming to your home, your office, wherever you are, and they will treat you right there. Now, it's self-pay right now. You got Medicare acceptance coming soon. Private insurance acceptance is on the way also. But you're going to pay less out of pocket for the convenience of being seen in your home that day than you would if you go to the emergency room or you wait at the urgent care. And that ain't convenience. That's a pain in the butt. Everybody knows that. Call Doctors on Call 365 if you're not feeling well and let them treat you in your home. 786-577-9302. DoctorsOnCall365.com. Again, 786-577-9302.